بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي خلق الخلق ليعبدوه وحبب إليهم الإيمان ليذكروه وأسبغ عليهم نعمه ظاهرة وباطنة ليشكروه صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه الذين صحبوه ونصروه إلى يوم الدين وبعد. فقد قال جل وعلا في كتابه المجيد وفرقانه الحميد: أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والذي قال لوالديه أف لكما أتعدانني أن أخرج وقد خلت القرون من قبلي وهما يستغيثان الله ويلك آمن إن وعد الله حق فيقول ما هذا إلا أساطير الأولين. صدق الله العظيم. Imra'ul Qais was a great poet, and he had once composed some couplets expressing the deceptive nature of battle. And Sufyan ibn Uyayna says that the Salaf used to prefer reciting these couplets at the time of fitna, because battle and fitna in its deception has a sense of similarity. Now, can you imagine the relevance of these couplets today when the ummah is gripped with both a battle and fitna? So Imra'ul Qais, the great poet, had initially composed these couplets sketching out the deceptive nature of battle. الحرب أول ما تكون فتية تسعى بزينتها لكل جهول حتى إذا اشتعلت وشب ضرامها ولت عجوزا غير ذات حليل شمطاء وتغيرت مكروهة للشم والتقبيل. In essence, he says, when battle starts, likewise fitna, it looks attractive, and he likens it to a young, beautiful, attractive girl. الحرب أول ما تكون فتية. How often do youth say, this is trending, this is new, try this, explore this, browse on this here, sign up for this here. There's an element of excitement. It intrigues you, it attracts you. Sometimes innocence, sometimes curiosity, sometimes adventure. Al-harbu awwalu ma takunu fatiyya. Battle in its inception presents like a young, beautiful girl. Fitna in its inception presents like someone beautiful and attractive. Tas'a bizinatiha likulli jahuli. Every naive, foolish, vulnerable person is just drawn in. Hatta idha ishta'alat wa shabba diramuha. But as you get close and the heat becomes intense and the flame starts blazing, you realize this is far from beauty and far from young. Shamta, you realize it's someone old, aged, frail, senile, غير ذات حليلي, with no companion, no partnership, no loyalty. مكروهة للشم والتقبيل, and the very thing to which you were going head on, now you're trying to come out, but unfortunately you've been overwhelmed, you've been gripped, and you simply cannot come out of it. There's a man who unfortunately has succumbed to substance abuse, and I try and keep contact with him, and as the time progresses, and inshallah, hopefully, I've been given a list to speak on so many things, so I hope I can encapsulate it in my address. Every time I meet him, I ask him, is there one advice that you can give the people? You've now ended up on the streets, unfortunately, and obviously you don't like the life that you are living, and neither would your family like to see you, but the brutal truth is you are on the streets. Is there one single piece of advice that you can give to anyone out there, young, adolescent, vulnerable, susceptible, still exploring the earth, finding his wings, trying to, enjoy life? He says, tell them to deny and decline the first temptation. That's it. Once you have a choice for the first time, after that, it's an addiction. After that, it's just free falling. May Allah protect us. So that's the nature of fitna, and that's the nature of battle. And the Prophet ﷺ said, before Qiyamah, there will be types of fitnas that will grip you. Samma, amya, bakma. That it would veil your sanity, it will block your logic, it will obscure your vision. Man ashrafa laha, you would just be, drawn into it. It probably pops up on your screen and casually you just browsing through it and you just move into that site, and unfortunately you are addicted. Yesterday I had a call from a sister, a message that had come through that unfortunately repeatedly she happened to get exposure to the device of her husband, and unfortunately there's been a porn addiction that has persisted from the inception of the marriage. And unfortunately, typically, commonly, averagely, you start lying and one lie leads to another lie. In kunta kadhuba fakun dhakura, as the Arabic proverb says, no liar is good enough to remember his lies. No liar has a good enough memory to remember his lies. No, it's not my phone, somebody else took it, I'm not sure who did it, and one thing to another. When we look at the teachings of Islam, that's just as a preamble to my talk, then every one of us, by birth, without exception, was born with the absolute ability and inclination towards truth. Let's be clear on this here. Every one of us, by inception, by birth, Allah dispatched us onto earth in a manner that we all were inclining intrinsically, inherently towards nobility, purity, and Islam. كل مولود يولد على الفطرة. As the hadith says, فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا. The Quran says, it's the natural religion with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created us. Imam Muslim makes mention of the hadith under the chapter, بَابُ الصِّفَاتِ الَّتِي يُعْرَفُ بِهَا فِي الدُّنْيَا أَهْلُ الْجَنَّةِ وَأَهْلُ النَّارِ. The qualities which distinguish the occupants of hell from the dwellers of paradise. May Allah make us from the people of paradise and save us from the occupants of hell. Ameen ya Rabbal Alameen. حدثني أبو غسان المسمعي ومحمد بن المثنى ومحمد بن بشار واللفظ لأبي غسان وابن المثنى قال حدثنا معاذ بن هشام حدثني أبي عن قتادة عن مطرف بن عبد الله بن شخير عن عياذ بن حمار المجاشعي رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ذات يوم في خطبته. The hadith is in Sahih Muslim. That's the chain of narration. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم addressing the congregation and the assembly of the Sahaba said that Allah himself says, and I'm just extracting one caption of the hadith so that we could make progress on the other aspects that we need to discuss. وَإِنِّي خَلَقْتُ عِبَادِي حُنَفَاءَ كُلَّهُمْ. I created every servant of mine with the total ability to embrace truth. I often say, without fear of contradiction, that amongst the many logical proofs to the veracity of Islam is the perfect synchronization of the tenets of Islam with the human anatomy. So you will find no discrepancy, no disparity, no dichotomy between the human composition and the injunctions of Islam. Because the very Allah who created me and you legislated our deen. Sometimes you buy a house which is very amazing, but it's not practical. Because the man who designed it for himself, not for you. So it's awesome, it has a brilliant view, but it doesn't suit your interests. You've got an elderly parent, you need a ramp, you probably have someone else with a certain challenge. So it's great, the aesthetics, the decor, the layout, the view, but it's not tailor-made for your interests. There is no dichotomy between the human makeup and the laws of Islam. Everything is in perfect harmony and synchronization. And if perchance you find yourself frowning or objecting on any of the aspects of deen, be it inheritance, be it the prohibition of drugs, be it polygamy, then this is due to external influence which has obscured your lenses and compromised the purity of your vision. There's external influence that has blurred, it's made it foggy. So now your view is not clear. But deen, فطرة الله التي فطر الناس عليها وضع الشرائع إنما هي لمصالح العباد في العاجل والآجل معا. Imam Shatibi in Maqasid al-Sharia writes that the entire Sharia has been designed and legislated to benefit the human race in this world and the latter. Furthermore, he writes, وَضْعُ الشَّرِيعَةِ وإن كان لمصالح العباد فإنما حسب أمر الشارع وعلى الحد الذي حد لا على وفق أهوائهم وشهواتهم. When we say that the Sharia has been designed to benefit the bondsman and the bondswoman, then to qualify that statement, it means to benefit us as defined by Allah and not as defined by us. So a father tells his son, the shop, this factory, this warehouse, this empire, this is yours, my son. So he says, then give it to me. He says, no, it's yours on the time I decide, with the conditions I decide, and in the manner I decide. I will relinquish at the time I see authority, responsibility, maturity, commitment. That's the time. Allah has designed the laws of Sharia, and in its limitations and restrictions, there's wholesome freedom. And in the apparent freedom of others, there's nothing but destruction. التكليف كله إما لدرء المفاسد أو لجلب المصالح أو كلاهما معا. Imam Shatibi writes, every rule, every law, every command, every injunction of Allah is either to save you from some harm or to attract some benefit or simultaneously to give you both. الشارع لا يقصد التكليف بالشاق والإعنات فيه. This is a very academic and an intricate point. The Sharia by design does not intend anything difficult, complex, or cumbersome, leave alone being colossal or mammoth or daunting for the humans. The Sharia by design does not intend anything difficult or complex for the servant. الشارع لا يقصد التكليف بالشاق والإعنات فيه. كما أن الطبيب لا يقصد بسقي الدواء المر الإيلام وإن كان عالما بحصول الإيلام. Just like a medical practitioner or a surgeon whose function is to operate, to cut, to take you into theater. His aim is not the operation. His aim is the cure. His aim is not the bitter medication. His aim is the treatment. The Sharia doesn't want to burden you. The Sharia wants to discipline you. Part of the discipline process is that yes, you'll have to sleep early, you'll have to rise early, you'll have to donate so much, you'll have to lower your gaze, you'll have to limit your food, you'll have to manage your diet. This discipline is to save you from other harms in this world. لا نزاع في أن الشارع قاصد إلى التكليف بما يلزم فيه كلفة ومشقة ما، لكنه لا يقصد نفس المشقة بل يقصد ما في ذلك من المصالح العائدة على المكلف. If you study, I don't want to, it's a whole academic thing that last year I had the privilege to study. In fact, Imam Shatibi says, for a mufti, one of the fundamental things is he has to become an authority on the maqasid of Sharia, understanding the objectives of Sharia before he can pronounce any judgment. So primarily, the Sharia focuses on 5 things, which we refer to as maqasid khamsa. 5 things is the primary focus of the Sharia. Number 1, hifadhatud deen, the preservation of religion. And hence the Sharia says, if your religion is a threat and someone is opposing you and denying you, then you need to resist. أذن للذين يقاتلون بأنهم ظلموا وإن الله على نصرهم لقدير الذين أخرجوا من ديارهم بغير حق إلا أن يقولوا ربنا الله. Those who were driven out of their homes because their only crime and offense was they believed in Allah. Like today, so many sisters' only offense is that she is dressed modestly. And it becomes a sore sight for many people. وَمَا نَقَمُوا مِنْهُمْ إِلَّا أَن يُؤْمِنُوا بِاللَّهِ الْعَزِيزِ الْحَمِيدِ. Imam Shafi'i said, if my crime is loving Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then I want to be very bold. This is a crime from which I won't repent. I'm proud of this offense. لَإِنْ كَانَ ذَنْبِي حُبَّ آلِ مُحَمَّدٍ فَذَلِكَ ذَنْبٌ لَسْتُ عَنْهُ أَتُوبُ. So Islam primarily focuses on 5 things. The preservation of religion. The preservation of religion. Islam recognizes to coexist with non-Muslims in a common economy, in a common setting, allowing tolerance, respect, mutual cooperation, mutual existence. The Sharia speaks about 4 types of relationships: muwalat, muwasat, mudarat, muamalat. It's a whole academic explanation in its great detail form, the different types of interaction. Then you have hifadhatun nafs, the preservation of human life. Human life needs to be sacred. Well, it's not sacred anymore. It's not sacred anymore, unfortunately. We have slogans, we have organizations, we have entities, but there's a void, it's empty, nothing. How many thousands of people are dying, and you've seen this year, and you're still debating the term and the definition. So hifadhatun nafs, that's the second focus of the Sharia. Hence Islam legislates a penalty, a consequences. If you claim someone's life, you injure someone, وَلَكُمْ فِي الْقِصَاصِ حَيَاتٌ يَا أُولِي الْأَلْبَابِ. There's consequences, there's repercussion. You cannot murder, you cannot kill, you cannot harm, you cannot injure, you cannot maim someone and just be acquitted. There's consequences. Then Islam speaks about hifadhatul aql, the preservation of intellect. So the entire Sharia revolves around these 5 things. فَإِنَّ الشَّرْعَ إِلْتَزَمَ بِحِفْظِهَا وَصِيَانَتِهَا. The preservation of human intellect, and hence the prohibition of intoxicants. Because the Sharia wants you to be functional, sober and sane at all times. Now, I don't want to go into ifta here, but I need to share something important. In Usulul Ifta wa Adabuhu, Mufti Taqi writes one place, Al-farqu bayna al-illati wal-hikmah. The difference between illat and hikmat. Illat is the reason, hikmat is the wisdom. The laws of Islam operate on its illat, not on its hikmat. The rules of Islam operate and are based and revolve around the reasoning and not the wisdom behind it. The wisdom is the intended benefit that you would achieve and accomplish when you practice upon it. تجري على علته الشرعية لا على حكمته وربما يلتبس على بعض الناس الأمر فيظن الحكمة علة ويزعم أن فقدان الحكمة مؤثر في تغير الحكم مع أن بين العلة والحكمة فرقا عظيما لا بد من استحضاره. So he gives 2 analogies. One, let's be relevant to the context of intoxicants, because that's one of our topics. And this has plagued every home. It is just like a guttering fire. When it hits home, I've been involved and helping and counseling for the last 15, 20 years. I say to my brother and I say to my sister, of course we will address our youth to become conscious, to become responsible, and to understand the consequences of this here. But at that time, the moment is too serious and the situation is critical. We have to rise above the bigger difference and the minor bickerings and differences we have, and we need to get the patient admitted ASAP. I know it's a stigma, and I know it's a taboo to say my son has been admitted, or your son is in a facility, or you want to rather choose to use a more euphemistic expression. It's a medical, it's a wellness center, it's there to give him some form of relaxation, whatever it is. I do appreciate it. We're living in a common society. I have young kids, you have young kids. But at the moment, the issue is too serious. The siren is coming, the ambulance is coming, the alarm bells are being sounded off. The issue is too important for us to still limit ourselves to our minor issues. We have to rise above. He needs to be admitted right now. We'll deal with whatever afterwards. So he gives the analogy, to consume alcohol is forbidden. Why? Because it's an intoxicant. What is the wisdom of it? صِيَانَةُ الْإِنسَانِ عَمَّا يُذْهِبُ عَقْلَهُ. To protect the human intellect from it being overpowered, to incapacitate him, to give him a paralysis, to create mental impairment. That's the wisdom. But the ruling is not based on the wisdom. The ruling is based on the reasoning. The reasoning is that this is an intoxicant, hence it is forbidden. So if somebody counter-argues and say, you know what, I'm a functional addict. I'm a functional addict. Yeah. Nobody who's on the street believed he would end up on the street. Nobody whose marriage broke up thought his marriage will break up. I know when you came out of the rehab, you phoned me and you asked me to convince your wife, but I don't have a face to ask her to give you a chance anymore. She's exhausted. She started a life with a good future, or what optimistic of a good future. So the wisdom is to save the brain from deteriorating. But the ruling will not operate based on the wisdom. It goes on the illat and not on the hikmat. And then he gives another analogy, just like traffic lights, ishara kahrabaiya. The red light is to stop so that, the traffic on the other side could flow to avoid a collision, to avoid an accident. So would it be correct then to say that given the wisdom of the lights, that this one needs to halt, that one needs to flow, so if I come here and it's a red light and there is no traffic flowing, then there's no wisdom for me to stop here now because there is no fear of a collision. Can I continue on a red light? South Africa as an exception? Obviously not. The rule operates on the illat. I had a sister recently say, why should I be in iddat? Istibra'ur rahim. I can't fall pregnant. There's no need to verify if I'm pregnant or not. وَلَا يَحِلُّ لَهُنَّ أَن يَكْتُمْنَ مَا خَلَقَ اللَّهُ فِي أَرْحَامِهِنَّ إِن كُنَّ يُؤْمِنَّ بِاللَّهِ وَالْيَوْمِ الْآخِرِ وَبُعُولَتُهُنَّ أَحَقُّ بِرَدِّهِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ. Yes, that's given as a hikmat. That's not the illah. You have to be in iddah because he divorced you. If he did it wrongly, that will be his consequences. But after talaq, the Quran says there's iddat for you. Your husband has passed on, the Quran said there is iddat for you. So it's important to distinguish between illat and hikmat. Because of course our youth today think they're smart, think they're wise. You assume you're calculated, you assume you're functional. I told you of the young man who came to me and he said that, I think cannabis is permissible. So I'm like, okay, what's up, bro? He's like, if it's forbidden, why does Allah allow it to grow? I thought you could be smarter than that. But anyway, let's say that that's what it is. So I said to him, so if the teacher gives you a questionnaire and he says, choose the correct answer, so then all the answers are correct. Or is the fact that choose suggestive of the fact that one is correct? He said, hey, you smart, eh? إِنَّا جَعَلْنَا مَا عَلَى الْأَرْضِ زِينَةً لَهَا لِنَبْلُوَهُمْ أَيُّهُمْ أَحْسَنُ عَمَلًا. So the third thing is hifadhatul aql. The deen in its pristine, original, unadulterated form has been revealed, preserved, transmitted, and it focuses on the preservation of the human intellect. Wow, subhanallah. Wow, what a rich deen, what a wholesome religion, what an amazing deen, flawless, impeccable. The fourth thing is hifadhatul mal, the protection of wealth. It's valuable. There's consequences if you steal. These hands, كانت أمينة كانت ثمينة لما كانت أمينة وهانت لما خانت. كانت ثمينة لما كانت أمينة وهانت لما خانت. They were valuable as long as they were loyal. But once they betrayed, the Sharia said, no. These hands they're not fulfilling their function. When Allah spoke about the prophets in the Quran, then Allah described them in different ways. But one description Allah gave of them is, they are people with hands and eyes. وَاذْكُرْ عِبَادَنَا إِبْرَاهِيمَ وَإِسْحَاقَ وَيَعْقُوبَ أُولِي الْأَيْدِي وَالْأَبْصَارِ إِنَّا أَخْلَصْنَاهُمْ بِخَالِصَةٍ ذِكْرَ الدَّارِ وَإِنَّهُمْ عِنْدَنَا لَمِنَ الْمُصْطَفَيْنَ الْأَخْيَارِ. There are people with hands and eyes. Wait, hang on, what do we have? The scholars say they fulfilled the role of every organ and limb that Allah had given them. So if you have eyes, what would you say? But you don't have ears, you have potatoes. Why? Because you're not listening. It's defeating what it's supposed to do. And last out of the 5, there is difference of opinion amongst the experts in terms of the sequence. Of course, deen stands first. And then is the preservation of human body. Regarding the other 3, there's difference of opinion. What is the sequence in terms of merit? Islam, out of the 5, preservation, religion is first. Second is the body. And in the other 3, there's difference of opinion. Hifadhatun nasl, the preservation of progeny. Establish your lineage. Confirm your identity. Hence the prohibition of adultery and zina. We need a society where people are responsible, not unfortunately irresponsibly impregnate a woman and off you're gone. There's no connection, there's no responsibility. And then, you're having a campaign of abuse against women and children, raise the alarm bells, put an end to the perpetrator, etc. But then from the roots, are you tackling the problem? Islam says there's a lineage, there's a responsibility. You've got to stand tall. The nasl, the progeny needs to be identified and recognized. Al-Asma'i, I haven't started. So just relax yourself. The only 2 people that told me I better speak short is my wife and my daughter, so I am a bit under pressure. Al-Asma'i, he was an authority. He was a grammarian. He was a philologist, born in the 7th century. Those that are into Arabic grammar would know Asma'i. You heard his name so many times. In the quest of learning better Arabic, he said, I want to go to the outlying towns, communities, to learn pure language. I mean, today it's so bad. Wherever you go, you just hear vulgar. Vulgar. You can barely sit amongst a group of youth and not hear. You'll be appalled. Sometimes you're at the airport and you just turn here and the guy in the queue is like swearing like a sailor. No, like a traveler. Change the phrase and what's this? Some people swear so casually. I'm not condoning it. One is in anger and rage and frustrated. But one is like, you had a good time and you're swearing. I don't want to be mimicking the words here, obviously, but you know what I'm saying. What? It's just vulgar, just pure vulgar, obscene language. لم يكن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم فاحشا ولا متفحشا. وإذا رأيت الذين يخوضون في آياتنا فأعرض عنهم حتى يخوضوا في حديث غيره وإما ينسينك الشيطان فلا تقعد بعد الذكرى مع القوم الظالمين. If you're sitting with a group that are mocking the deen, that are doing wrong, then move away from there. And if you forgot you were with them, as soon as you realize, move away. And you just got to be cool. You got to go with the flow. And it's just vulgar. It's just stupidity. It's naivety. It's vulnerability. And that's it. And then you look at the outside marketing world, how irresponsible marketing is. How many times you exit your house, there's an urge of sin. And just at that time, if something comes up which you know, it's not like you don't know. Allah is watching. What a halt, what a break, what an alert. And if you come out and you say, just do it. You are getting a whisper, you're getting a provocation, you're getting an incitement, and then to further, compound and augment that, you're getting external messages that are telling you, go for it. Go for it. I dare you, take a bite from the forbidden fruit. That's the kind of advertisement. I dare you, take a bite from the forbidden fruit. Speaking on the forbidden fruit, the devil came to our ancestor Adam and Hawa alayhima min Allahi as-salatu wa taslim. And what did the devil say? The devil said to them, I promise you, I represent your interests. That's what the devil said. He sugarcoated his deception and his delusion by saying, I promise you, I represent your interests. My young boy, besides Allah and His Nabi and your parents, be wary, be watchful, be vigilant of anyone who's a smoke screener with that slogan. I say this and I'll repeat this. Your parent can err in the advice he gave you, but he will never err in the motivation of the advice he gave you. He is human, so he is fallible, so he's short-sighted, but he didn't mean harm for you. Wallah, he only meant well when he said get married here, when he said take a job here, when he said buy a house here, when he said disassociate with this person. It went pear-shaped, it went wayward, it steered off. Is this not adequate compensation that you heard or you responded and obliged to what your parents said? Allah will offset that harm by giving you divine barakah because of your compliance to the sentiments of your parent. Let me say something. Allah's blessed me with 3 grandchildren. May Allah guide our children. May Allah guide our grandchildren. I love my parents. My parents love me. I love my children. My children love me. In one word, if I can tell you what distinguishes my generation from my children, we feared our parents. Our children don't fear us. They love us, we love them. They do for us, we do for them. Do our children fear us? They don't fear us. I fear my father, I fear my mother, lovingly, respectfully. But hey, that's it. Papa said, Ma said, done. Our children don't fear. There is no cut-off point. Listen, hey, Abu said we need to be home at 10 o'clock. Aye. Pali, how's it? I kid you not. That's a phone call from my kids. And I mean well. Pali, how's it? Pali, we chilling, we relaxing. Okay, where you are, make sure you're in the right place, read your du'as. Don't worry. We feared, and that has changed the entire dynamics. I come from a generation, when I was married, my better half will tell me, or confirm it, 29 years ago, and those that are my equals and older than me, when I got married, there was no house, there was no home. But there was values how to be economical and frugal and build a house. And there were values of tolerance and respect and how to shape a home. The generation of today, including my sons and your children, are married and they are given a built house, but they lack the values to make that house into a home. So it's become a tall order and a big ask to ask them from that built house, make a home. With the passage of time, all of us, my generation and those beyond me, even all the more, you saved. What they say, marriage is not only about being 50-50, it's about being thrifty. What's the problem? I got too much month left at the end of my salary. You didn't get that? I got too much month left. It's like, oh, it's only the 10th. Hey, I don't know how to budget. That's how the youth of today is. When I got married, the old folks, all the more, there was nothing. The old folks, they'll talk of fitas, ape chokri mareta uta, And then this is how we... But there was values. Every time your child does something wrong, you defend him. Tomorrow you'll get a lawyer to defend him. Child discipline is not abuse. It's shaping him into a good human. Every time he's in a problem, you give him deliverance. You save the moment and you deny him the lesson of life. That is why I say to parents, sometimes they say, oh, he got caught. I said, if he got caught, my advise him, don't just pull him out. He needs to feel it a bit long. Let him feel the consequences. Otherwise, I promise you, if you got him admitted, you say, wait, I got pulled, I got clout, I got muscle, and you had him pulled out today, this boy will become a monster. If not, he's already a monster. When he got caught, I can't forget the words of this mother, and I said, Ma, it's only a mother that can talk. The son was apprehended, intercepted due to drugs. The mother is crying one side, I was there. She said, oh Allah, jerk my son, but don't hurt my son. Oh Allah, jerk my son, but don't. I said, who can coin these words? You can't make these duas. This is a mother's motherly sentiment screaming out. There was a youngster we had admitted because the family contacted me. Finally, when he got discharged, I phoned the mother. She made a lot of dua for me. She said, for Allah's sake, don't bring my son back to my house. I said, Ma, he's your blood. She said, no, I can't deal with 12 o'clock, a knock on the door, and a gangster, and a fight, and then I can't. I'm too old for this. I said, but he's a change. She said, whatever you say, I don't have strength to give him hope or chance or belief. The laws of sharia are designed in your interests. Azadi tumhara haq, barbadi tumhara natija. Azadi tumhara haq, barbadi tumhara natija. I've said this and I'll say it again. Sin can make you look happy. Only obedience will make you feel happy. Sin will give you a thrill. If sin doesn't give you a thrill, nobody would buy into sin. It has to have some offering. Don't bite at the bait of sin unless you know the hook that is beneath it. Don't bite at the bait of sin. Oh, it's just throwing itself out there. And you just bite on it. You know, my brother, expensive things are costly on your pocket. Unhealthy food is costly on your health. And wallah, sin is expensive on your iman. Sin is very expensive. One affair, one romance, one flirtatious contact, and you throw your entire marriage down, gone. So we're talking about the mobile phone and how this has unfortunately, first it was, don't bring the phone to school. Now the whole school is in the phone. That's how things have evolved. We are a nation blessed and cursed with our innovation. I haven't found a more comprehensive explanation of modern technology than this statement. We are a nation blessed and cursed by our innovation. Some would argue that there are benefits in sin. The Quran doesn't deny that. Some say if you take a tot of alcohol in moderation, it enhances your IQ. The Quran is not averse to that. The Quran says, look beyond. Are the benefits more or the harm more? وَيَسْأَلُونَكَ عَنِ الْخَمْرِ وَالْمَيْسِرِ قُلْ فِيهِمَا إِثْمٌ كَبِيرٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَإِثْمُهُمَا أَكْبَرُ مِنْ نَفْعِهِمَا. You said, you know what, with the lottery, we've helped so many people. Great. But have you helped more or made more people poor? You've enhanced one person's IQ and the other people you've destroyed their entire life. Today, fresh, just before Jummah, I got a call. He was high and he gave 3 talaqs. It is what it is. A bullet is a bullet. When it shoots out of the barrel, that's it. It's going to cause its harm. The consequences are catastrophic. So here's an analogy, and for parenting, may Allah grant you the understanding. Somebody said, if I could rewind my life, I would have less meetings and spend more time with my kids. I say to my son, I say to my daughter-in-law, you know what? You want to keep your child busy and you want to keep them off the phone, it will mean serious adjustments of your life to spend quality time with this child. If you're not ready to make that adjustment, then it's not going to happen. So you're going to have to come back early from work. You're going to have to compromise on probably going to your beauty parlor, going for your manicure, pedicure, whatever it is, your massage, your weekly this year. And both of you have to find time with this little one to keep. This is an inquisitive mind. Qadi Shuraih, he was a tabi'i. He was a judge. He was appointed as a judge during the period of Sahaba. His 10-year-old son was sent to madrasa. On the way, he got distracted. There were a few youth that were playing and there were some dogs that were running around. So he diverted, spent his whole time there and he came back. This is a tabi'i. He was appointed as the judge during the time of Umar. There was no devices and this was the distraction because of which he didn't go to madrasa. The next day, Qadi Shuraih asked his son, you went to madrasa? He said, no. So he wrote a letter to the teacher. And he said to him, تَرَكَ الصَّلَاةَ لِأَكْلُبٍ يَسْعَى لَهَا تَرَكَ الصَّلَاةَ لِأَكْلُبٍ يَسْعَى لَهَا يَبْغِي الْهِرَاشَ مَعَ الْغُوَاةِ الرُّجَّسِ فَلَيَأْتِيَنَّكَ غُدْوَةً بِصَحِيفَةٍ كُتِبَتْ لَهُ كَصَحِيفَةِ الْمُتَلَمِّسِ فإذا أتاك فداوه بملامة أوعظه موعظة الأديب الكيس واعلم بأنك ما أتيت فنفسه مع ما يجرعني أعز الأنفس. Arabic poetry. ترك الصلاة لأكلب يسعى لها. He neglected and abandoned his salah because of some youth that were just playing and they were having some fun and some entertainment. See, this is what I say. I've got such an influx of thoughts. The whisper of sin was in the human from the inception of time. But the access to sin was never so available like today. The whisper to sin. You have a crave for something sweet. What they say, it's difficult to be a woman. You want to cry without a reason. You want to lose weight and you like to eat something sweet. You're sitting at home, you're trying to discipline yourself. If the crave of sugar comes and there's a bar of chocolate or a slab of chocolate, you're going to eat that whole thing. So, and if the slab is not there, it happens often to me, you're traveling in a hotel room and suddenly you just have a crave for something and now you say phone reception, it's late, or you know what, do an Uber, it's okay, leave it. It's 10 minutes of behavior and the crave is over. But if the slab is there, the chances are very slim you're going to behave. The whisper comes of sin. The phone is in your palm. The access is too much. I said to a young man, he phoned me recently and he said, no, I've done every wrong. I've been sleeping around. I've been pilling around. I've been popping things. I've just done a lot of nonsense, but I'm miserable. And I said, of course, that's a given. That's a given. You show me one person who's living a life of sin and is happy. قَاسَمْتُهُ مَالِي مِنَ الْحَسَنَاتِ. I will do what Imam Shafi said. I'll give him half of whatever virtue I have. I don't have much, but I'll give it to him. Show me one man who had an affair, who took a drug, who did something haram. We're not talking of halal. If you're doing halal, that's a separate thing altogether because Allah has kept wholesome pleasure in Allah's obedience. Allah has kept wholesome pleasure in it. There's no doubt about it. But in haram, if one person, he got a thrill, he got a kick, there's no doubt about that. But the uneasiness, the restlessness, the anxiety, looking over your shoulder, holding your phone, what's this? There's no life. And I must say something, because I deal with this so often. The young generation, they get married and, no, he's on this app, she's on that app, he posted here, she posted there. I need to see this. So I said to them, see, when you are married, then of course Islam has allowed you to be intimate with your spouse. And if there's anybody else in the room, you say, please can you leave? I need to change, right? Hopefully the same thing happens at the gyms. Because again, what's this? لا تنظر إلى فخذ حي ولا ميت. Islam, the Prophet ﷺ said, don't look at the thigh of a male or a female, or living or dead. Our deen is so modest. What did I say? If you're frowning on any aspect, it's external influence. Fatima radiallahu anha said to Asma bint Umays, I'm so worried when I pass away, how are they going to cover me? So Asma said, we went to Abyssinia. Asma bint Umays was the wife of Ja'far radiallahu anhu. Ja'far and Asma had migrated to Abyssinia. The union, Aun, Muhammad and Abdullah, Allah blessed them with 3 children. Then they came back. Then Ja'far radiallahu anhu went to Muta. Then he passed away in Muta. وَجْدًا عَلَى النَّفَرِ الَّذِينَ تَتَابَعُوا يَوْمًا بِمُوتَ أُسْنِدُوا وَلَمْ يُنْقَلُوا صَلَّى الْإِلَهُ عَلَيْهِمُ مِنْ فِتْيَةٍ وَسَقَى عِظَامَهُمْ الْغَمَامُ الْمُسْبِلُ. The amazing couplets of Ka'b bin Malik paying tribute and homage to Ja'far radiallahu anhu. So she went to Abyssinia. Some argue Ethiopia, some say Eritrea, geographically. She said, come, I show you, Fatima, what I observed there in the land of Africa. And then she created this canopy. Read the narration. She took twigs, she created a cover, and she said, this is how they would cover a female's body there. That's what I observed. Fatima radiallahu anha was intrigued by this display of modesty. And she said to Ali, this is what I've heard, and this is what I want you to do. Bury me by night, cover me like this, and I want you to get married to my niece, Umama, my eldest sister Zainab's daughter. 3 advisors she gave. Zina is rife. Our community and our society still holds polygamy as an absolute taboo. I'm not here to advocate anything. I'm saying we need to be in Allah's obedience. A life of sin is a life of deprivation of barakah. A life of obedience is a life of barakah. So we take the phone today. The Quran speaks of the tale of Qarun. So what happened in the tale of Qarun? He came out with his flamboyance. He was flashing his muscle, his economic muscle that he had, displaying it, opulence, flamboyance, beauty, splendor. And as he's walking, those that are looking, they're like, wow, that's now stunning. My word. Right? As the Quran says, قال الذين يريدون الحياة الدنيا يا ليت لنا مثل ما أوتي قارون إنه لذو حظ عظيم. Exact verbatim translation, this man is damn lucky. This is luck falling in his lap. What happened? Listen to me, follow my pattern of thoughts, appreciate my angle of my analogy. Qarun makes an appearance, he makes a presence, people are occupied doing their own things, they're caught in the spectacle, it just mesmerizes them, spellbound, leaves them all riveted, they all are, water dripping from their mouths in envy of this person. Those who had iman, who were anchored, they retorted. They challenged the narrative. They said, no, man, that's fickle, man. That's transitory. That's temporary. You can't fall for this here. Just take, the guy passes you, zoom with top speed, and then he couldn't negotiate the bend, and then you see the body lying there and the corpse there and the car burnt out, and then you're like, no, Allah, this jalopy is good. Because even if I want to put up speed, I can't put up speed. That's exactly what played out. وأصبح الذين تمنوا مكانه بالأمس يقولون ويكأن الله. You must see what the Ahlul Lugha write on the ويكأن in terms of the grammar of this word. Now here's my point of question. And here I want you to put your thinking caps on, my sisters and my brothers. These people by default got exposed to the presence of Qarun and his economic muscle, which dazzled their eyes momentarily. Today, the world has been designed such that every night, every one of us, before retiring to bed, it's almost compulsory that we take out our phone and we start searching for the Qaruns of the day. Hey, where was he today? Where was his kharaja today? Oh, wow. I, by design, set me as a man, my wife as the spouse, and my children. So we all live in a life of misery, depression, ungratefulness. Because what's been shown before me? She cooks nice, he dresses nice, their marriage is happy, their holidays are awesome, their location is stunning, everything is great. Daily, if that's what I'm feeding, you know, as kids, the Gujarati proverb, what they say, join a mantai. Join a mantai. You're going to see, you're going to feel for it. You are consciously, these people didn't go looking for Qarun. Qarun happened to come out. And the Quran is very beautiful. The Quran is pragmatic. The Quran says the believers are those, they don't go to evil places. But the Quran doesn't say the believers are those who don't pass evil places, because it's a real world. You have to pass a casino, you have to pass a club, you have to pass a pub, you have to pass a place where there's wrong. So the Quran doesn't say that the pious are those who don't pass evil. Allah says they won't enter it. وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورَ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. They'll never go into the venue because they know it's not compatible to their faith. And if they happen to pass by, the Quran says they pass by with dignity. The scholars unpack the word dignity by saying they lower their gaze, hasten the pace, despise the offense that is being perpetrated there, and they don't shun the perpetrator. My word. My word. Ours is the direct opposite. Your profile, your dressing doesn't allow you to get in, so you just circle in the area. No, there's a lot of traffic here. Yeah, so, but why are you going there? No, we just, you know. So this is the brutal truth. As long as I'm sitting on my phone and you're sitting on your phone, you're not going to be happy with your partner, and your partner's not going to be happy with you, and your children are not going to be happy in the home. It's not going to happen. I once heard a radio program, and a woman was talking about the importance of healthy food. GMO-free, organic, natural. It doesn't have all these artificial flavorings and chemicals in it. She said if a child at birth is told, eat pure, eat natural, eat wholesome, eat organic, and you start making impressions on the subconscious mind of that child. You start making impressions on the subconscious mind. Eat good, eat healthy. Subconscious, right? You're making impressions on it, the wiring of the child. Because today I was in Ireland. Okay, I'll come back to this. And we were having suhoor, and the next day I had a flight out. So this brother was saying his daughter is in the US, and she did a whole research on the negative impact of the phone today on the human race. Never before in human history were the humans exposed to such conflicting information simultaneously. It took you time to get good news. That good news created that electrons, that gave that ecstasy, that gave that jubilation, that gave that euphoria, that translated in that happiness in the body, the excitement, whatever it is. After a period of time, you discovered some sadness. The body accordingly triggered those reactions and emotions. But now the human race simultaneously is being exposed to good and sad news at one time, which is disturbing the human anatomy and wiring like it has never done ever before. And this is my analogy. Imagine you taking a laxative and Imodium at the same time. Imagine you taking a laxative Now you've got to be very euphemistic. So you mustn't say he's constipated. You must say, you know what, he's got limited bowel movements. So now you're constipated, you're taking a laxative, and at the same time you're taking Imodium. What are you going to do to your body? Can you imagine this body just constantly? You don't need to know everything that's happening all the time. And this is something you have to decide yourself. You have to control it. The world out there is a crude world. Wherever revenue can be generated, they will make it. That's it. You're not going to be able to change it. You've got to up your immunity to become resilient to the bacteria. But end of the day, you know what? You've got to inoculate yourself spiritually. You've got to inoculate yourself. But if it's making money there, who cares? That's the world. It's crude, it's brutal, it's harsh. I've said this in that last drug program that I had. I have an eye for wildlife. And I have an eye for safari. And of course, we've seen the migration in the Masai Mara, in Africa, in other places. And it kind of intrigues me. And often when you see nature play out in its natural form, in its natural habitat, and a mom just giving birth to her calf, and just then there are predators in ambush, and they pounce on. And of course, it just brings a tear in your eye. It brings a tear in your eye, a mother in the wild, in the wilderness, alone, having to give birth to, and you know what, deliver this issue and this child and this baby, and trying to give some shelter, and just then comes the leopard, snatches this newborn, and off it's gone. And then you'll get the comment that would say, but brutal, but harsh, but that's nature. No, that's not brutal. Brutal is a drug merchant who's wicked and evil, infamous and nasty, who can sell a pill to a 10-year-old child, knowing this is going to bring an entire home down. Kept him hooked on. That's brutal. That's inhumane. That's harsh. I just got to sell it to him once. And then in the UK, I travel all the time, there's balloons. They just go high and it's out. Like, how much more merciless can you be? How do you sleep at night? So I was saying to you that we expose ourselves. We choose to expose ourselves to these fitnas, and daily we get onto these sites, creating this constant dragon that we're chasing. So we have the problem. I mean, I do a marital counseling, and I don't envy myself, and by the way, I don't have any open slots. Yeah, honestly, I don't have any. I openly apologize. I can't even answer all my emails. I can't even reply. I'm just overwhelmed. It's beyond my capacity. It's just too much. May Allah bless my family for allowing me and coping with me and giving me the space. But it just invades and, you know what, infringes and encroaches and consumes your own life. So today in marriages, you find how many partners are on antidepressants. ADHD, better known as ADD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, mental health, which has exploded in the last 10 years, right? Someone described it like an iceberg. You see in the top is anxiety, the top is irritability, the top is restlessness. But the real ice is beneath the water. Those are the external symptoms manifesting in the individual. He or she can't hold a conversation. He or she can't stand in the queue. He or she is irritable. Those are the external factors given, but the whole ice is beneath. I cannot tell you the amount of, more commonly on the side of women, that are on pills at a young age. And you can't really have a fair, balanced dialogue between the couple, because there is this mood swings, there is the bipolar, there is, split personalities. We are in serious times. We are not in easy times. Don't be deceived by the optical illusion. It's just all like smart and good and glory. No, 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 no. Things are rough and tough. Things are rough and tough. I can tell you in 25 years of counseling, if I've come to learn, nobody's marriage that you think is hunky-dory is hunky-dory. People who you think that, no, this is on the best side of life. No, it's far from that. It's far from that. Recently, I spoke at one event, and then there was a joint setting between a partner. I like to use very, very broad and generic terms because then people, are you talking about me? No. So I like to use the most broadest generic context, or create hypothetical scenarios. So anyway, the husband called out to the wife, and the wife replied via the veil and everything. So I said to him, hey, you know what? Besides the presentation that you people gave and everything, but I think you gave a lot of example to, couples to what's a happy marriage. He said, that's what you think. I said, oh, there we go. There we go. So only Allah can help us in these times, but we need to take some active steps. Here's a reflection from the Quran. Allah told the mother of Musa alayhi salam, put Musa in the basket, put the basket in the river Nile. Right? Then Allah said, إن كادت لتبدي به لولا أربطنا على قلبها لتكون من المؤمنين. Yeah, in Arabic, you would know, is in the meaning of inna. إنها كادت. أي مخفف من المثقل. She was on the verge of divulging and saying, hey, that's my child. Though we gave her the assurance, your child is coming back. فيه دلالة على أن القوة البشرية ليست بكافية في كمال الأخلاق وإنما المدار هو التأييد الإلهي. We learn from this that no human is strong enough and capable enough and smart enough and wise enough and intelligent enough to wade the deep waters and navigate the stormy oceans. Everyone can only rely on Allah to get you across. I say to couples, when unfortunately there is a discovery that a child is on drugs, inevitably it creates tension in the house. There was one case I was overseeing and dealing, and obviously the father going a bit more on the iron fist, the mother going on the soft one. My son is soft, he's like this, give him space. It created tension between the parents. Do we keep him in the house? Do we keep him out? And I said, see, my young boy, we're not expelling you. This is your house. This is the kind of compromise I had to make to kind of stabilize the equilibrium in the context, because it was just creating so much imbalance and turbulence. But for you to stay in the house with your current addiction, you disrupt the normality of the entire house. You disrupt the normality of the entire house. You walk in at 12 o'clock, you get up at 12 o'clock, you don't perform salah, you sleep with earphones, you got music blasting, you got a 10-year-old that is trying to just find his feet in rhythm, and he's just saying, but if my brother can do it, why can't I do it? So you exacerbate and compound and aggravate the situation. So it's just not him per se. And I must also say that in my own observation, it takes at least 20 members to save one person who has succumbed to drugs. And I say that conservatively, and I say that with 20 years of working with people like this. If you don't have a network of 20, it's just a matter of time when everyone in that group will be burnt out. Now I'm done now. Listen, I met your brother, he's in a bad state. Yeah, tough luck. Jazakallah, please don't phone me again. Hey, I'm so sorry to say, Ben, I just seen your husband. You know what, he's not my husband. You can tell my children also don't call him a father anymore. We're done. You need 20 members of society. Each one rotating, alternating. You hang on now. You rescue now. And just when you've done everything and he's finished the third day relapse, or he's overcome the third day obstacle and the 11th day, after 2 months he says, no, I'm having crazy craves. I'm suicidal or I'm going to relapse. Now, if you don't have manpower, it's over. Lut alayhi salam said, لو أن لي بكم قوة أو آوي إلى ركن شديد أو آوي إلى ركن شديد. I wish I had a family around me that could rally. How often there's one son who's moved on, he's stable, he's anchored, he's prosperous, he's moving with good speed. Daughter is settled, anchored, moving in a good home. There's the one, the delinquent, the black sheep, the outcast. The parents are old and aged. And this one's 3 marriages broke, 4 times in a rehab. Son and daughter, too busy in their lives. Or whatever, they too occupied. And you got these old parents now. Their head has dropped, their back is hunched, their bones are weak, their body is frail. And they're back and forth taking this 35-year-old to police station, to the rehab, coming back. If we as children and society won't intervene, what zulm aren't we doing to these parents? The butchers out there, the merchants out there, the infamous individuals out there, they don't care any less. So I was telling you about Asma'i, and we digressed into a host of discussions, but I pray that each one of those digressions were meaningful and objective, inshallah. Asma'i was a philologist, he was a grammarian. He went in the search of learning language, and that's where we digressed when we spoke about vulgar, because that's how, unfortunately, language has become today. We need to sit with youth, we need to connect with youth, we need to take out a lot of time and create a bond. When the Prophet ﷺ had adopted Zayd, radiyallahu anhu, all good, Kareem? Yeah. Please, we're still trying to reach our cruising altitude, huh? Yeah, we haven't yet, we're still just airborne. Yeah. Now you must tell me to stop, I'll stop. This is my heart is in this here. Wallah, my heart cries for the youth. My whole life has gone in this. I ask Allah to accept it, that's all I can say. I seen an episode of a young man 2 weeks ago. He had an outburst with his drug. My word, I've never in my life seen. He started banging his head on the floor, like aggressively. It was complete. I don't know what triggered, what happened, what reaction, whatever. Completely insane, just gone off, totally. And it's just like aggressively just hitting his head. It's a mixture of empathy, anger, rage, frustration. What is it? So the incident of Zayd radiallahu anhu, when the Prophet ﷺ adopted him, right? And then his father and his uncle came in the search. And then finally they came and they met the Prophet ﷺ and they said, we'll give you a handsome ransom. Please give us our son back. Nabi ﷺ said, I won't take a dime. I don't take money. You can take him. But I won't send him against his wish. I won't send him against his wish. And let me please say this again. Sorry, I know I'm making a lot of interjections. If your marriage is breaking up, for Allah's sake, don't play nasty games with the other partner, denying them access to that child. You're going to pay a heavy price. You're going to pay a heavy price in this world and in Akhirah. Your children will rebel against you, and they'll go searching for their other partner, mother or father, and Allah will reunite them. And if you are one who's been subjected and denied and barred, persevere. Your son, your daughter will come knocking your door. But if you are the one blocking, hear it from me today. You will suffer in this world and the latter. Can we stoop so low? Let's agree. You weren't a good wife. I wasn't a good husband. But you were a good mother and I was a good father. We were not gelling, or they were not gelling, because I'm happy with my wife. I mean, no, she's not gelling. No, we're gelling well. You got to watch, you craft your words, bro. You got to craft your words, bro. As husband and wife, you weren't getting along. Why are you denying the other one motherhood and fatherhood? And you know what makes a healthy home? Reinforce and impress on your children respect. Respect your father. Respect your mother. And it's not sufficient to say, no, well, I didn't teach my children I didn't teach my children to disrespect you. No, no, no. You need to teach them to respect their father. I never taught my child disrespect your father. But what happens? When the child throws a tantrum, there's it, like his father, same, there's it. You have destroyed the self-esteem of that man in that house. This is a small image of your father. No, I kid you not, this is serious. Listen, we're not going to, this is your father, that's your mother. Teach your children values and respect for each other. Couples are differing on too many fronts. Show regard for the values of each other. I have a reflection of Quran. So when Musa alayhi salam came and the basket was sailing, and Pharaoh and Asiya, the faithful wife, radiyallahu anha, إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة ونجني من فرعون وعمله ونجني من القوم الظالمين إذ قالت رب ابن لي عندك بيتا في الجنة. She said, Allah, I don't want the palace of this man. I don't want the palatial home. Allah, I want a palace in Jannah, Allah. She gave up a royal life. Now there's so many nikahs you're performing, the dowry is so exorbitant, they don't disclose it. Yeah, this has happened. So I said, now what's happening here? No, in the nikah ceremony, when you're solemnizing the marriage, just so that we don't divulge to everyone, we would say, and the meher you give in to your new bride is as you discussed amongst yourself. Yeah. And then come 3 weeks later, khula, I want all my 10 rings back. We worry so much about the wedding, yet we worry so little about the marriage. The wedding is one day, the marriage is forever. Married for weeks, married for months, married for days. Why? Because the values were not given. So as the basket was coming, and Musa alayhi salam was in that basket, what does the Quran say in chapter 20? وَأَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي وَلِتُصْنَعَ عَلَىٰ عَيْنِي أي وَلِتُرَبَّى عَلَىٰ حِفْظَتِي. Jalalain writes, O Musa, the protection we sent was, we had cast beauty on you. So anyone who's seen you was just melted at your beauty. We don't know what's love, we know what's lust. May Allah give us that love for Him. True love for Allah. It's sad when you need to explain love, the medium today is lust. Because people don't know true love for Allah, love for the pious. So أَلْقَيْتُ عَلَيْكَ مَحَبَّةً مِّنِّي. So the wife of Pharaoh said, look at the deduction from the scholars of tafsir and the richness of the Quran. And this is what we learn, how to navigate. And this is where we get a cue, this is where we get inspiration, this is where we get guidance. So she said, قُرَّةُ عَيْنِ لِي وَلَكَ عَدَلَتْ عَنْ لَنَا إِلَى لِي وَلَكَ وَكَأَنَّهَا تَعْلَمُ مِنْ مَزِيدِ حُبِّ فِرْعَوْنَ إِيَّاهَا وَأَنَّ مقصدها أهم عنده من مقصده فقدمت نفسها عليه فيكون ذلك أبلغ في ترغيبه بتركه عن القتل فلا يقال أن الأظهر في ذلك العكس. It's academics. The Quran always opts for brief speech, comprehensive speech. So why did she say قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لِي وَلَكَ? Why didn't she just say قُرَّةُ عَيْنٍ لَنَا? عَدَلَتْ عَنْ لَنَا إِلَى لِي وَلَكَ. This is mentioned in Bayan al-Quran. She said, oh my love, oh my hubby, you know what? He's so gorgeous. You know, women and everything nowadays emojis also is a language of its own. Because it's dangerous, available. Oops, ouch. Ouch. It's platonic. And from platonic, it becomes something else totally. From platonic, you went into pedal. Oh, man. She said to her husband, love is real. The narration of Sahih Muslim, the neighbor of the Prophet ﷺ came to invite him. He said, come home for meals. So Nabi ﷺ said, Wahadihi and Ma'aish? Said, no, only you invited. You see, this is also something, you got to be frank and candid. If you invite in one, say one. Don't say, hey, you must come, eh? Who? No, you must come. Now you can't say, you don't know what to say, you don't know how to say, you just, yeah, you must come. Now I don't know, nikah, walima, way, what, how, I don't know, you can't ask, you can't say. No, man, talk. قل ما أسألكم عليه من أجر وما أنا من المتكلفين أي وما أنا من المتصنعين. Say unto them, I don't seek remuneration and compensation for my mission. And I am not from amongst those who pretend and act, who fake. The whole world is just fake. It's acting. The Quran says if someone knocks your door and the time is not right, tell him to go. And you who are at the door, go back. It's better for you to return. Now you look in the camera. Hey, but your mamaji don't know time. Eh? Hey, this guy, man. Just like he's, I tell you. Yo. Hey, Joe, come in, my brother. How's it, man? Hey, come. And yeah, we were just talking about you. Hogwash, man. Back off. Nonsense. It's not the right time. Tell him it's not the right time. Live the real life. The nails are fake. The eyes are fake. The eyelashes are fake. Everything is fake, my Allah. The Prophet ﷺ said before Qiyamah, respect will be fake. Like, respect is not something physical and tangible. You know, this is pure, that's generic, that's real, that's not real. Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, respect will be fake. وَأُكْرِمَ الرَّجُلُ مَخَافَةَ شَرِّهِ وَأُكْرِمَ الرَّجُلُ مَخَافَةَ شَرِّهِ. People will be respected just to protect yourself against his evil. This guy is nasty. He can spit venom. So greet him. لا تتقي من نباح الكلب إلا بكسرة خبز تلقي إليه. In Arabic they say, sometimes the only way you appease a barking dog is to throw a bone at it daily or to give it a slice of bread. So you say, hey, mashallah, you feed this dog? He said, no, I just keep myself away from the bark. I'm not feeding it. Your Excellency. What excellency? Plaque outside a graveyard. Inside this cemetery, there are many people who thought the world won't function without them. If any, the world is doing better. Nothing's going to change, man. My day will come, it'll clock up, drop me off, and it's over, man. Promise you, we need to change. We need to change the coordinates on our sat-nav, man. We're going in the wrong direction. You can see you're going in the wrong direction, but you're still carrying on with the same GPS. The signal is not right. وَإِذَا قِيلَ لَكُمْ ارْجِعُوا فَارْجِعُوا هُوَ أَزْكَى لَكُمْ. If you are told, go back, go back. So the Prophet ﷺ says, وَهَذِهِ, you invited me, what about my Aisha? He said, no, only you. Nabi ﷺ said, okay, then I'm not coming. Sahih Muslim. Then again, the person came back and he said, I'm inviting you. Nabi ﷺ said, and my Aisha? He said, no, only you. He said, no, then I'm not coming. Look at Nabi ﷺ's patience, his demeanor. He's not like, I told you one time, how many times did I tell you? No, Nabi ﷺ is so calm and composed. Right? There's different types of people. Some people are like this, they persist in, right? Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was sitting, one villager came in, Man minkum Muhammad? Hey, who's Muhammad here? He was a villager. The authentic name. The Sahaba said, هَذَا الرَّجُلُ الْأَبْيَضُ الْمُتَّكِئ. Can you see this luminous face? Can you see this brilliant human reclining? He himself is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Inni sa'ilun wa mushaddidun alayk fala tajidanna fi nafsik. Listen, I am very loud. I'm strong in my speech. So I'm going to ask you. I'm going to raise my voice. That's my nature. Don't feel offended. Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Sal amma badala. Go for it. We have no issues. Wow, that was the demeanor of our Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The third time he came back and he invited. And Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, and my Aisha? He said, yeah, she's also invited. The narration of Sahih Muslim, they both then go. The shurrah, the commentators commenting on the hadith say, why did the Prophet of Allah decline on the first two instances and then oblige on the third instance? He said there was hunger at home. So he decided that if it is sleeping without food, we both will sleep without food. And if it's eating, we both will eat, my love. That's love. Not an emoji and a bouquet and whatever and teddy bears. This is real. This is a connection. This is a feeling. This is empathy. This is human relationship, both ways. When Asya, radiyallahu anha, told Pharaoh, don't kill Musa, she said, La taqtulu. Basic Arabic grammar. I don't want to give grammar and fatwa and ifta and fiqh lessons here. Basic Arabic grammar, it's a plural, but she's talking to one person. Al-jam'u lit-tafkhimi wat-ta'zim. She addressed her husband with a plural to denote respect. How do you call your husband, my sister? Do you use respectful expressions and terms? And vice versa. What impressions are we giving the children? Are we showing respect? Our addiction to our phone, our own children are not getting the right message. I've always said the old folks are an example of not breaking marriages, but they're not necessarily example of happy marriages. Ask me. One day I was giving this and this one old man is going like this here. I say, hey uncle, not so much. You're telling everyone. I wasn't talking about you, chacha. Doku ne em alawe, doku ne em alawe. They cannot me eklu no alawo. Old folks are an example. They come from a value system. Your janaza must leave from here. But they're not necessarily example of happy homes. The old folks started sleeping separate when you know what, the deep heat was too much and the urine ate. The young generation are sleeping separate in their 30s. And what's the common example? He snores too much. What are we married for? وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ وَأَخَذْنَ مِنْكُمْ مِيثَاقًا غَلِيظًا وَقَدْ أَفْضَى بَعْضُكُمْ إِلَى بَعْضٍ My word, I don't know what to say. Wallahi, Allah knows, when I read Quran, I cannot in words tell you the ecstasy that grips me. So what did Asya radiallahu anha say? She said, قُرَّةُ عَيْنِ لِي وَلَكَ عَدَلَتْ عَنْ لَنَا إِلَى لِي وَلَكَ. She didn't say coolness of my eyes. Then, she's trying to prevent Pharaoh from killing Musa. So outwardly, apparently, supposedly, logically, it would be coolness to your eyes, don't kill him. But she said coolness to my eyes, then coolness to your eyes, because she knew her desire, her passion meant more to him than his own desire. وَأَنَّ مَصْلِحَتَهَا عِنْدَهُ أَهَمُّ مِنْ مَصْلِحَتِهِ فَقَدَّمَتْ نَفْسَهَا عَلَيْهِ. She said, love, I like him. Love, I like him. Wow. How much regard do we have for each other's? He came back tired from work. Oh, I'm feeling for sandwich. Get up. There's the micro. There's the oven. Oh. And don't take off your socks here. No, man. No, man. No. The narration of Bazaar, get married, your wife will bring you wealth. Your wife will bring you wealth. How will she bring you wealth? هذا إذا كان الزوجان فهيمين وناصحين لكل واحد منهما فيسعى الزوج في زيادة الكسب وتشتغل الزوجة في انتظام البيت مما لا يقدر عليه الزوج فيلزم الإطمئنان والراحة وهو مقصود المال فهذا معنى الإتيان بالمال. The Shurrah write, where the Prophet ﷺ said, your wife will bring revenue, bring wealth. What? Because money per se is not the object. There's a greater purpose behind it, right? You ask, why are you traveling to be happy? Why you got married to be happy? Well, yeah, hopefully. You know, I always tell the youngsters, when I'm married and I've got 2 kids, I'll be happy. I say, ask your father how happy he is. In the struggles of obedience, there's pleasure. In the apparent pleasures of disobedience, there's misery. There's misery, my brother. Allah's qasam, 25 years I can tell you, I haven't come across one person who sinned in his life and was happy. There was a friend of mine who was close to me in the early years in Australia. Young man, used to listen to my talks and he took a liking to me. He was young, he was experimenting, he was freelancing, he was trying the world. And I kept on telling him, you're going into a darker web. This thing is going to shackle you. You're getting into a darker place. Sadly, at some point, unfortunately, he then claimed his life, and I just got the news to say this is what had happened. Sin just leads to a dark road. It comes to an end. It's just misery. There's just nowhere. Finally, the last thing the devil says, just take your life. Whatever the nature of the crime is, sin was never going to take you to happiness. That's for sure. Sin can make you look happy. Only obedience will make you feel happy. Every Ramadan, my message to the world, wherever I travel is, where's the answer to happiness? Whole year you eating. It's a lavish breakfast. It's a sumptuous lunch. It's a finger-licking dinner. It's decadent desserts. It's a great spread. Yeah, it was all right. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to scream. But come Ramadan, from a 5-year-old to a 75-year-old, everyone is excited for 30 days for one meal. Why? Because moderate deprivation is the only thing that can bring happiness to man. Deprive yourself, limit yourself, behave yourself. The youth of today, Maulana was speaking about lethargy. If every day is a weekend, then how can you be happy on a weekend? हजार काम है दाग दुनिया में करने के जो लोग कुछ नहीं करते हैं कमाल करते हैं हजार काम है दाग दुनिया में there's 1,000 things to do I just can't get through the day and he's like nah I'm just chilling boss what's up yeah next what get a life man I said to the youth and I used to say to my students you enrolled in the seminary at your elementary, rudimentary years, perhaps you needed jumper cables to boost your car, or someone gave you a push from the rear to get your car started. But don't think or expect for somebody to push you to the destination. Your father told you get up, your mother told you get up. Life threw some curve balls at you. Kabbarani mautul akabir, the Arabic proverb, the death of my seniors made me a senior. I'm driving in the car, I just seen my dad having a heart attack, I seen the steering moving. I never sat there before, but when I looked around me, my siblings were smaller. I had to just take the leap. I had to take the leap and hold the steering to rescue the other passengers. Grow up. You seen your dad go with cancer. You seen your mother fall. You seen an empire crumble. You still drunk. Some people grow old, they don't grow wise. I read an amazing saying the other day. I met a 15-year-old adult and a 40-year-old boy. I met a 15-year-old adult and a 40-year-old boy. He behaves like a kid. Iyas bin Muawiyah was walking Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik seen him. وَكَانَ خَلْفَهُ أَرْبَعَةً مِّنَ الْقُرَّاءِ فِي طَيَالِسَتِهِمْ. And behind him there were 4 great qurra in their flowing robes. And he was leading them. So Sulaiman ibn Abdul Malik said, "Ma sinnuka ya Iyas?" Iyas, how old are you? He said, "Uffil li ashabi hadhihi al-luha. Uffil li ashabi hadhihi al-luha." I mean, woe be to these great scholars in these robes, people of the cloth. And they got one young man who barely got facial hair leading them. How old are you? He said, "Kasinni Usama ibn Zaydin, hina wallahu Rasulullah." I am no older than the young Usama when the Nabi of Allah made him the leader of the expedition, and behind him he had the giants and the stalwarts Abu Bakr and Umar. Those were our youth, man. They were leading us. Today's youngster, you can't even tell him to take his mother to the shop. "Mommy, how long you'll be?" What? Maymun bin Mahran, he says, "I went to visit Umar bin Abdul Aziz." I'm going to mention 1-2 things and start wrapping up. Wallahi, what I was hoping to speak on, I haven't even touched it. And it's really a topic of its own. I wanted to speak on about 12 fitnas. It's a whole write-up of Shaykh Waliullah Muhaddith Dahlawi, Inna al-fitan ala aqsam. It's 12 fitnas. I was hoping to get there, but inshallah for another time, whenever Allah has willed it to be, it would be there. We all are stuck with boulders blocking our own caves of life. Those 3 people in those caves did some amazing feat for those boulders to move. Do we have actions in our reserves that we can tap into when we're seeing things are just not making headway? But we all have some boulders blocking. Some child is not recovering from his addiction. This is not happening, that is not happening. Let me come back to that incident and mention 1-2 things and tie it up with this here. There is a fake pleasure in sin. There is a wholesome spiritual ecstasy in obedience. And in between that, there is a divine pleasure in resisting sin. There is a divine pleasure resisting sin. You're just in resisting mode. You didn't go into any obedience, you're just in resisting mode. She's messaging me, he's messaging me, but no, Yallah, I'm not going to do it. Yallah, I'm not going to do it. Of course, for that time, there is restlessness. There's no doubt about that. There is restlessness. At the time when the urge is in full swing, there is restlessness. That's real. That this world is a place of test. There is that restlessness. But once you've overcome the restlessness, oh man, that joy is indescribable. It's ineffable. It's something else. You can't quantify it. It's something else. So these 3 people were desperate. And then they said, "Listen, we blocked up in life, yeah? There's no way we're going to come out. You need serious actions in your life to get you out of the crisis in which we are engulfed." Yeah. You know, you need to go buy something, and the child said, no, my Abu got lot money. Now, in his little, weak, simple mind, he thinks that is lot. He doesn't know what you need here is much more. Huzaifa bin Yaman said, a time will come, nobody will be rescued from the fitnas, but the one who begs Allah and cries incessantly, like how a drowning person screams for help. لا ينجو أحد إلا من يدعو كدعاء الغريق. When a person is drowning, he's not like, are there any lifesavers available? Please notify them. I've mentioned this many times, and let me just say it, yeah? My wife is going to say why I said it. But anyway, we were in the Bahamas, and on a jet ski. There's a child in every adult, and that child was in me at its full at that day. And I needed to show her my expertise on the throttle. And I flipped the whole machine. Literally flipped the machine. And due to panic, I forgot I had a live vest on, and so did she. She's holding that side, I'm holding this side, and we're screaming. And at that time, this thing kind of dawned on me. You see, often when you're in a situation, then it hits you. We were doing humanitarian work in Lombok Island after the earthquake. It was shortly after Hajj. I just come back from Hajj, I think 2019, and then immediately we went to Lombok. And then we drove for 3 hours, we summited the hill, and then I looked around me, it was nothing but ruin and debris. Nothing but ruin and debris. And I rotated my gaze. Sayyidina Ali radiallahu anhu used to often, كَانَ يُقَلِّبُ كَفَّهُ وَيُخَاطِبُ نَفْسَهُ. He would just sit in solitude and then rotate his palm and then talk to himself. Ali, من قلة الزاد وبعد السفر ووحشة الطريق. Ali, the journey to Akhirat is so long. The road is unknown. The path is hazardous. But do you have adequate? Do you know where you're heading? So I sat there. When we summited, it was scorching, sweltering, blistering hot. I rotated my gaze. They had gathered everyone in a make shelter, and I had to give the talk there. And when I looked around, there was no home, there was no dwelling. That's the time it hit me. The Prophet ﷺ said, if you miss one salah, it's like you lost all your family and all your belongings. Now I'm like seeing it real. فَكَأَنَّمَا وُتِرَ أَهْلُهُ وَمَالُهُ. None will be rescued from the fitna of that time, but the one who makes dua to Allah like a drowning person. Create a home of tahajjud. Create a home of salah. Put that phones down. Allah give me tawfiq, Allah give you tawfiq. Honestly, limit it. Wi-Fi free connection, that has just brought misery in our homes. We only browsing, perusing, surfing, and nothing other than depression and misery. Because constantly you've seen something else, so you're automatically feeling ungrateful about yourself. I didn't have, I didn't enjoy, I didn't experience. So this person, Asma'i, he goes in the search and he comes to this particular tribe in Yemen, Banu Udra. They were known for preserving the language. You know, if you go in the outskirts also, they speak the more pure language, or the climate is better. Well, now it's so, industrialized, and there's so much, pollution everywhere, so it's questionable. Anyway, he's walking there. Many incidents had happened there. So the people of this tribe were known, the men, to have soft hearts, and the women were known to have exceptional beauty and modesty. في قلوب رجالنا رأفة وفي نسائنا عفة. في قلوبنا رأفة وفي نسائنا عفة. The men were very soft and the women were very modest and very beautiful. So he passes by and he sees on a plaque, it's written there, بالله أخبروا أيها العشاق إذا اشتد وجد بامرئ كيف يصنع. O people, and this is now in eloquent, refined, pure, wholesome Arabic. O people, like we have graffiti. Sometimes sitting in the toilet and following the arrow. And then you have this myth in our communities that when you go to the loo and the lavatory, then you clear your throat to dispel the jinn. What a joke! Then is that how jinnats go? There's this myth. فَإِن تَنَحْنَحَ بِغَيْرِ عُذْرٍ فَسَدَتْ صَلَاتُهُ. The fuqaha speak about if you clear your throat without any reason, that certain scholars say it invalidates your prayer. The jurists say, do the clearing of the throat if you have a problem that urine is dropping, and just change your posture to make sure that there is no drops remaining. It's got nothing to do to drive jinnat away. It's like, knowledge is so important. So, he comes there and it's written on this plaque, Billahi akhbiru ayyuhal ushaq. إِذَا اشْتَدَّ وَجْدٌ بِمْرِئٍ. O people, help a young man who's gripped in a crush, in an infatuation, and he's head over heels over a woman. How does he help himself? So he's here to learn Arabic. And I told you in the 7th century, he was a philologist, he was a grammarian. Asma'i, there's so many incidents about his. One day I couldn't sleep at night and I got up. So I went in my dining room and I took out my kitab and subhanAllah, I started reading and I stumbled over an incident of Asma'i which is captured in Qurtubi. One day he was walking Qurtubi. Qurtubi makes mention of this Asma'i. There's so many incidents about him. And there's this young girl singing. And in her melodious voice, she's saying that, I fell in love with this person and it has destroyed me. Astaghfirullah li dhanbi kullihi. Astaghfirullah li dhanbi kullihi. I ask Allah to forgive me for the love and the infatuation I had over this man. So Asma'i said she was repenting from her infatuation, but her voice was so sweet that I said, your voice is so attractive and seductive and melodious. She's making tawbah, but I'm like, she's creating a sin with her tawbah, if you know what I mean. You know, when it's a strange woman, even when she screams, but she's so sweet. But she's so cute. And when it's your own, then it's gruff. Somebody else is honey, then here it's like, smell the coffee. Excuse the pun. May Allah give us muhabba. May Allah give us muhabba. May Allah give us love. May Allah give us warmness. May Allah give us affection. Date your spouse. Excite your spouse. Surprise your spouse. The Prophet ﷺ said, when you're outside, and if you're attracted to anyone, come home. Because your spouse has no different. Islam calls you back home. The world is calling you outside. فَإِنَّ مَعَهَا مِثْلَ الَّذِي مَعَهَا. So Asma'i said, I said to this girl, وَهِيَ تُنْشِدُ أَبِيَاتًا قَاتَلَكِ اللَّهُ يَا فَتَاةً مَا أَفْصَحَكِ. Wow, sister, that's so articulate. That's so stunning. So she didn't fall for that. She said, why are you praising me? Why are you lauding me? This is not eloquent. Eloquent is the words of Allah. أو يعد هذا فصاحة بعد قول الله تعالى وأوحينا إلى أم موسى أن أرضعي فإذا خفت عليه فألقيه في اليم ولا تخافي ولا تحزني إنا رادوه إليك وجاعلوه من المرسلين. جمعت هذه الآية على وجازتها بين أمرين ونهيين وخبرين وبشارتين. We got to do Q&A. Maybe I'm just do a sharp landing. لقد بدت الطائرة بالهبوط التدريجي. Okay, let's mention this and call it a day. May Allah bless you. I hope I've, as Maulana said, we want to keep it formal, informal, that we take something. There's a lot of things to take, to process, to digest, to comprehend, to relate. Look, I must also say, every delinquent child is not necessarily a result of poor upbringing. Because you're going to have serious problems then reconciling with the rebellious children of Yaqub alayhi salam. And you're going to have a serious challenge explaining the rebellious son Kan'an of Nuh alayhi salam. So every rebellious child is not necessarily a result of wrong upbringing. Commonly, averagely, yes, we are fallible and we have so many mistakes we've made, and we can see that. We can see that. You've seen your son doing nonsense, but you know that's you in him. You can't tell him that's me, but you know that's you. You know the boy who said, Dad, I brought my report and I found yours also. You say, okay, leave both in the closet there. But because he knows what you did, so what are you going to thrill him with? The challenge is, let me be frank, as I said earlier, today outside, it's too dangerous. I was, a bit of a delinquent in my school days, and may Allah bless my parents. وَتَيْ مَحْرُومَ تَعْلِيم سے مگر مجھ کو پڑھایا ہے پسینہ حد سے بڑھ کر بھی میری خاطر بہایا ہے کرا رہتا ہوں شاہوں میں جو اپنا سر اٹھا کر میں میرے والد نے مجھے آج اس قابل بنایا ہے. Though my parents in their own space were not educated, but they did everything to educate me. وَتَيْ مَحْرُوم ta'aleem se. They were simple-minded. They didn't know much. But they said, no, give my children the best. وَتَيْ مَحْرُوم ta'aleem se. Magar mujhko parhaya hai. Pasina had se barkar bhi meri khatir bahaya hai. I mean, till today, I'm traveling for so many years. My mom still cries every time I travel. Billahi, wallahi, tallahi. Till today, my mom, she gets emotional. But ma, my life is more in the air than on the ground. But that's a mother. That's a parent. They gave me knowledge. They educated me. Kara rehta hu shahon mein, jo apna sar utakar mein. Mere walid ne mujhe aaj is qabil banaya hai. Today I can stand tall in society. I can rub shoulders with the simple and the elite. Is because of the values of my parents that they have impressed upon me. In our time, when a child was playing truancy and he scaled the fence of the school and he was being a naughty boy. What was a naughty boy? He went to the shop round the corner there. He maybe picked up one Uncle Stompy from the floor and he played Pac-Man. I don't know if I'm too old here. I'm talking of 80s. I'm talking of 80s here. Now, I'm just being generic here, but actually that's what Allah forgive we all did. That was a naughty boy. The old folks, they say, Allah must forgive us, man. Hey, we did a lot of wrong, man. We did a lot of wrong. You say, uncle, what you did? Nahi kya, apne bioscope gela. Bioscope jata hota. Me and toba apne bioscope jata hota. Wallahi, Allah is my witness. I still have a vivid memory. Probably I was 10 years old. Right? Mid-80s. We playing. Someone said, wife, you are so rude. I'm going to tell your mother you didn't say auntie. When the World Cup took place here, there was a mainstream media that carried an article on some of the infamous players in mainstream football. One out of that, in that article during World Cup, was guilty of bestiality. Another, in an interview, had said he had bedded and slept with 500 women. My son, third son now, who's a father, alhamdulillah, I think he was 5 years old. I was giving a talk back then. He came out, he said, Abu, how did all the aunties fit in one room? That's how clean nature sends them. That's how pure Mother Nature dispatches them. And then this is what we do to them. This is how we destroy them. That mine was so clean and pure. Wallah, I remember this as a 10-year-old child. That wife was crude, was harsh, was brutal, was not dignified, was not respectful. It was auntie, it was uncle. You couldn't go straight to use those terms. You take a youngster today, doesn't know diplomatic language when speaking to an ustad. He wouldn't say, Apa or Muallima, is your wife here? Is that language? Sayyidina Musa is returning with his wife from Midian. She's in confinement. He sees a flame, he sees an ember. إِذْ قَالَ لِأَهْلِهِمْ كُثُوا. He tells his wife, hold here. I see some flames there, a live ember. لَعَلِّي أَجِدُ عَلَى النَّارِ هُدَى. Maybe I'll get a sense of direction there. And then he says, كُثُوا. Stay here. The word kuthu is a plural expression for a single person. Again, an expression of absolute respect and dignity when talking to his own partner and spouse. Illa ajuzan fil ghabirin. The wife of Lut has been referred to as ajuz. Ajuz means old lady. She was a kafira. Some scholars say she was not old by age. Notwithstanding, she was a disbeliever, but the term ajuz elderly woman was used because she was the spouse of a Nabi. Sorry, uncle, is your wife here? What? What? Is Muhammad's mum here? Auntie, is Uncle Ibrahim here? They come to the door on the phone looking. Can you bring him in? Can you usher the uncle in? Can you sit him down? Can you make a conversation? How you keeping, uncle? My dad's in the bathroom. My mom is just in the kitchen. She'll be here. Can I get you some water? Do you want to use the bathroom? How you keeping, uncle? Where you? All okay? How's things? Can you make a 5-minute discussion and then connect the seniors to the seniors? Or even that's a big ask. All right, let's mention this here, and hopefully I don't digress here so that we can do some basic Q&A. So he wrote here the next day, he said, when I seen this, I wrote there, يُدَاوِي هَوَاهُ وَيَكْتُمُ سِرَّهُ وَيَصْبِرُ فِي كُلِّ الْأُمُورِ وَيَخْضَعُ. I responded to the sentence. I said, يُدَاوِي هَوَاهُ. Treat your fantasy. يَكْتُمُ سِرَّهُ. Conceal treat your malady. Conceal your fantasy. And listen, life is about sabr. وَيَصْبِرُ فِي كُلِّ الْأُمُورِ وَيَخْضَعُ. The next day I pass by, this unknown person responds again, and he writes there, on a stone there, كيف يصبر والهوى قاتل الفتى وفي كل يوم روحه يتقطع. Easier said than done. How do I make sabr? Because every day I'm gulping like blood of death here because my crave, my fantasy, my crush, my infatuation is just driving me insane. You know, like I say, I'm fallible and she's throwing sparks. So I said, but then you shouldn't, you don't see by the garage. Don't hang out here. If you got anything flammable substance, don't come there. So he wrote the next day, and this is very serious, and this is very pertinent. إِلَّمْ يُتِقْ صَبْرًا وَكَتْمًا لِسِرِّهِ فَلَيْسَ لَهُ شَيْءٌ سِوَى الْمَوْتِ أَنْفَعُ. If you can't solve your addiction, and you can't suppress your crave, then maybe death is the only way out. May Allah make it easy for you. That's what he said. Not commit suicide, no. If you cannot, and I'm saying, I love to give hope. And I hope every addict can come out. I've said it to every person recovering. It's possible, it's not easy. It's possible, it's not easy. It's your choice. You can read it as impossible, or you can read it as I'm possible. It is possible. But if you're asking for it to be easy, no, I cannot tell you that. Is there any stats? No, there's no stats. Everybody is their own story. So I like to give hope, but I want to be cautiously optimistic. But in recent times, sadly, we've seen so many who come out, relapse, come out, relapse, come out, relapse, simply cannot reintegrate. If you committed, even the sky is not your limit. You can do anything. The Sahaba, they dropped it. I always marvel at the Sahaba. They were humans. Anaq was a woman of beauty. Marthad bin Abi Marthad radiallahu anhu had a relationship with her. Now this is emotions attached. And I like to say to the youth out there, and may Allah transmit my message. You know, they would phone me, I'm inundated. Oh, I like her, she likes me, we're happy and everything. Her parents are happy, it's only my father's got an issue. I said, you know what's your problem? First take responsibility. You go in the shop, you take a jacket, you put it on. You like it, everything is good. You post it on social media, you get the likes, you get everything's good. You negotiate the price. You say you're going to wait for this occasion, work out everything. Then you ask your mother, Mommy, can I buy a jacket? Now when she says no, it's just not a no to a jacket. It's a no to the post, it's a no to social media, it's a no to the occasion, it's a no to the function. You created this whole relationship and this whole attachment to this here. Now you say, no, I don't want to hurt my mother, but I don't want to let go. And then this just goes on, and it's an unending vicious circle and cycle. Every second day, this is the story. You start the relation, create the emotion, and then 9 out of 10, there's going to be one parent that's not happy. No, I don't want to go into it without my parents' blessings. Well, then you have to drop it. Marthad bin Abi Marthad, radiallahu anhu, had a relation with Anaq. He then accepted Islam. Anak said to him, come, let's meet up. He said, no, I can't meet up, I'm a Muslim. Now, this is an emotion. It's not easy. It's not easy to part with an emotion. It's an attachment. So she said, okay, let's get married. Allah revealed the verse, وَلَا تَنْكِحُ الْمُشْرِكَاتِ حَتَّى يُؤْمِنْ وَلَا أَمَةٌ مُؤْمِنَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن مُشْرِكَةٍ وَلَوْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ. You can't wed the polytheist till she doesn't take the shahada. He said, I can't. Done. Over. I mean, how? When the verse was revealed, وَلَا تُمْسِكُوا بِعِصَمِ الْكَوَافِرِ وَاسْأَلُوا مَا أَنفَقْتُمْ وَلْيَسْأَلُوا مَا أَنفَقُوا. Some narrations say at that time Sayyidina Umar had 2 wives who had not accepted Islam. And the verse came down, you need to part ways. He ended it, finish. No, okay, listen, we're not getting married, but we can still be friends. You never know. Yeah, And, even if I don't have your phone number on my phone, you'll always be in my heart. Yeah. Remember, I'm always there for you. Yeah. What? So he said, إِلَّمْ يُتِقْ صَبْرًا وَكَتْمًا لِسِرِّهِ فَلَيْسَ لَهُ شَيْءٌ سِوَى الْمَوْتِ أَنْفَعُ. If you cannot behave, manage yourself and say, no, this is not a life, man. I can't be playing this game, man. Time is running. I met a man in London who was attending my talk and he really appreciated it. He said, I went back and forth for 20 years. And after 20 years, I said, no. And I'm grateful that Allah has given me a life. He went back to his native country, Pakistan, and he opened up a rehab. MashaAllah, he's doing great work. I met a man in Australia. I did an interview with him as well. Also lived the life on the streets. And then he said, no, it's enough, man. You know what? I've got to turn the corner, man. I've got to turn the corner. I've got to stand up for myself. And he said, I was determined. Discipline. He who lives a life without discipline is exposed to grievous ruin. An undisciplined person is a headache to himself and a heartache to others. Yes. Discipline. Life is all about discipline. On a recent trip to London, when I was taking the train in Dubai from Terminal A to Terminal B, so I just hopped on and every time my eyes just, on aviation, I just pick up so many lessons because travel just teaches me so much. Earlier this year when I was in Mumbai, I was standing at the wrong carousel waiting for my bag. And I said, searching for happiness in this world is like waiting for your bag at the wrong carousel. How frustrating is it? You turn in this bag, you're rotating that bag, you're looking at the monitor, then you're at the wrong carousel. Wallahi, if you're looking for happiness in material things, you're waiting at the wrong carousel. Happiness will never arrive before you. Yes, in deen, you will find that peace. Your bag might not be as big and fancy as that. It will be simple, but it will be wholesome. But it will be yours. It will be yours. It will be real. It will be tangible. I often say when you're traveling, 2 boarding gates next to each other, but they're flying in opposite directions. It's Karachi and New York. Al-Nida'ul Akhir li Tayran al-Imarat. Last announcement. Oh, so you said Karachi and New York next to? No. The gates are next to each other. 2 people can be buried next to each other, one in paradise, one in hell. The munafiqeen were also with the Sahaba. In Uhud, the Sahaba had peace. The munafiqeen were restless. ثم أنزل عليكم من بعد الغم أمنة نعاسا يغشى طائفة منكم وطائفة قد أهمتهم أنفسهم يظنون بالله غير الحق ظن الجاهلية يقولون هل لنا من الأمر من شيء قل إن الأمر كله لله. The next day when he came back, he found a response and he found a corpse there on the floor. سمعنا وأطعنا ثم متنا. سمعنا وأطعنا ثم متنا فبلغ سلامي إلى من كان للوصل يمنع هنيئا لأصحاب النعيم نعيمهم وللعاشق المسكين ما يتجرى. We tried. I couldn't manage the crave. I couldn't resist the temptation. My soul passed away. I'm happier off dying in Allah's obedience than living in His disobedience. May Allah bless you all.